Alright everyone, how's it going? Hope everyone's well. Okay, so welcome to part 2 on the Monogram Spectre. So today we're going to take it over the unit. We're going to give it a good old wash, put it up on the ramp and go through the brakes and stuff like that and see what it needs for an MOT. So, I'll spin you around, we'll get over the unit and let's get started. Woohoo! Wow, that was a nice easy start, which it seemed to do all the time, so that's great. Batteries seem to be charging and stuff like that. If anyone's interested in the Mark II 45 diesel in front of us, it's in Firefrost. I've got to put a bonnet and bumper on it, and I'll probably change the lights to fading, and I'll put a full MOT on it. So if anyone's interested, just drop me a comment and we can have a chat. Got a little bit of sun, it's a bit warmer than what it's been lately. We've got sort of 10-11 degrees, but every sort of half hour or so keep getting a load of rain, so it's making it a bit of pain to do stuff outside, but we're working around it and we're now off over the unit to do this one. Detail and everything. It's going to look an absolutely great car. And the sound you get from that intake sounds really good when you put your foot down. And then obviously it comes out of the twin exhaust at the back as well, the power flows. So you get a lovely sound all round really. Price has got to be right, otherwise I'd just rather keep it. It's too much fun to fair. The old Monogram colours are getting, yeah, quite rare now, especially to get one with no rust. Great fun on the little back roads like this. These ZS's, don't matter whether you got a 1.4, 1.6, 1.8, 2 litre V6 auto, 2.5, 180. They're just good fun, full stop, which is why a lot of people like to drive these cars. Never drove one, you don't realise what you're missing out on until you actually do drive one. Just down the road here, we'll get the big old steam cleaner out, get some nice hot soapy water and see if we can get some of this dirt and grime off her. Okay, so let's get opened up and see what we can do. Right, so let's get started. So this is what the engine bay is looking like at the moment, and nothing like what we want it to look like, so we're going to get it a bit cleaned up. So this is a special mix that I like to use to do under my engine bays. My wheels, inside the doors, get all the green mould off the trims along the sides, around the window rubbers and that sort of stuff. And any nasty muck and grease that gets under the boot shuts and you name it, I use it on that. Not going to say what it is, but it's a mixture of 2 or 3 different things that I've sort of learned over the years, and does a really good job for me for degreasing and cleaning up parts ready for me to make them look good. give it a really good covering of whatever you decide to use to clean yours with. Let it soak in for a little bit and give it another covering and agitate it with a brush like I am here. I probably will do this by the end of the day, probably 5, 6, 7 times under here, but obviously won't show all that on camera. I'll just show you a couple of times, or yeah, sort of the first time I do it, so you get the idea of what I do. But I'll just keep doing it until things like the yellow lids and the white bottles and stuff like that are all nice and grease and dirt free and looking nice and shiny like they did when they were new. Same with like the battery and stuff like that, the turrets and stuff for the suspension, the legs, just want it completely degreased and everything all nice and flat so I can start again when I want to detail it later on. So as you can see, it's getting a lot better already, but we've still got a long way to go to make this sort of show shining condition. It's looking a lot better under here now than what it did when we first started, but it's going to need at least another 3, 4, 5 passes just to get it completely clean and grease free. So this is another thing I do when preparing my cars. I like them to be as clean as possible, so when I present them for an MOT or something like that, or people come to look at them, they can have a proper look instead of having to fight all the mud and muck and dirt and all sorts of stuff that's been on there for years. So I jack them up like this, and I'll do all under the wheel arches and actually along the floors, along the sills and stuff like that underneath. Normally I'd take the wheels off and do inside the wheel arches and around the brakes and stuff, but later on I'm going to have it on the ramp so the wheels are coming off, so I can take all the paint off the brakes and stuff like that. So I'll finish off inside the arches afterwards, because I'm obviously going to make a mess doing that. Someone's painted them red in the past and I don't like that. I want them to be just natural silver, so I'm going to get them sorted out and get them back to the colour I want them to be. So again, just use your chosen solution, give it a really good soak and let it soak in slightly, soak it again, and then just give it a scrub with the brush, and just keep doing this as many times as you need to till you get back to the factory paintwork. As I say, normally I would jack this up front and back on the jacking points, put a set of axle stands underneath and sort of get under the car and give it a good old scrub, but I'm going to need to get under there again in a little while. Well, yeah, sort of later on in the week after I've done all the brakes and made a mess, so I'm going to have to re-wash it anyway. So I'm just doing this as a sort of first go, and I'll give it another going over once I've finished doing all the brakes and stuff. obviously it's a bit easier for me to get things like this off when I'm cleaning the floors and stuff, because I've got a 200-degree steam cleaner. But if you haven't got these sort of tools, then just use your average, I know, Karcher or something like that, jet wash, and that does the same job. You just have to do a bit more scrubbing. Let me know in the comments below how you clean your MGs and Rovers, Metros, that sort of stuff. Do you use jet washers, steam washers? Do you have them done for you? Do you do them yourself? Do you strip the cars down and clean them from underneath upwards? Do you get inside, take all the seats and stuff out like I do, and then clean the carpets and even under the carpets? Just let me know what you do. Let's see if everyone does sort of the same things, or people do different things. I mean, to be fair, I'm always being told that I do a far too good a job of cleaning the cars up, because I do this to any car, whether it's worth £500 or £5,000. I do the same job and make them look as good as I can. So this is how I expect inner arches and stuff to look like. Still a few specks of dirt in there, so I'll go through them again, but obviously not on camera. I normally do under here probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 times to get them nice. And then I'll do the petrol caps like this as well. They're always filthy and nasty, so we'll do that as well. And carry on around the car. The more you look, the more you find. So the more you got to do, but this is the way to make the car look really nice. Also, don't forget, when you're doing under the wheel arches, a place like that, get a soft sponge and do behind the actual arches where all the mud collects and stuff like that. I've already done that on this one when I first got it, so I didn't have to do that today. And then obviously get in the petrol cap like I am here and get all that dirt and grime out. I mean, to be fair, to clean a car properly, as I call it, it takes days, not hours, not 10 minutes in a jet wash, a quick flick. If you want to do it properly, then you have to take the time and do it properly. The noise you can hear in the background is just the steam cleaner filling up the water. It does use a lot of water, so it's always filling up. What I'm doing here is I'm getting all the green and moss and mould out of the black rubbers, because there's nothing worse than having a nice lovely shiny car and then all your rubbers and that are all grubby. Okay, so next job, inside the door shuts, inside the actual doors, along the bottom of the doors, around the door hinges, the locks, the latches, etc. Around all the rubbers and all that sort of stuff, basically whatever's inside the door. We don't want no grease, no dirt, no grime, apart from on the actual hinges where it should be. So as you can see, effort equals reward. Put a bit of time in, give it a good scrub, use the right stuff, and you'll end up with nice shiny panels like this. I mean, this isn't even the beginning. I'm going to compound these, I'm going to polish these, I'm going to wax these. But that'll obviously be later stages of the car when we've done some other work to what we need to do. So here you can see the paint code, IAA. Okay, so time to deal with this mess in the inside of the boot area. Bottom of the bump, or top of the bumper, where the clips are. There's two missing, so I'll replace them once we're indoors. And then I need to get all this muck and grime and green and dirt and all sorts of stuff out of all these gullies. Make sure all the water drain plugs and stuff are all good and clear, so any rain and stuff all runs down nicely, like I do on the bottom of the doors and stuff. Just basically make it nice and clean, get all the dirt and grime out. So let's get our solution and our brush and get scrubbing. Let's try and get this nice and clean. So another place you need to get into is all the lines around the car, like the side of the door mouldings, the side of the bumper mouldings, like I'm doing here. They all get like dirt and green and grime and all sorts of stuff in them really, so you need to give them a good old scrub just to make the overall appearance of the car really nice when it's all finished. Okay, so this is what it's looking like at the moment. A lot cleaner than what it was when we started a little while ago. None of that muck and grime is in there anymore. All the green is gone. And we're looking pretty good. Not a bad start at all. I probably will do it again at some point off camera. But I'm very happy with where we are so far. Okay, so time to scrub the wheels on this side. I'll bring the camera to the front of the wheels now so you can actually see them being done. The wheels I'll put on here because when the car came, that came with some black wheels on it, which I didn't like with the original wheels, but they've been painted in matte and they've gone flaky and they're a bit of a mess. But I prefer these wheels. I think they look a lot better on here. So that's what I put on. These wheels are not mint, but they're not rough either. They've got a few little curb marks around the edges. But overall they're in very good condition. I may or may not have these fully refurbed depending on the price I agree with the next buyer and whether they need to be done or whether they're going to change the wheels and stuff when they take away the car. Some people like to change wheels to their own taste and some people like to keep the cars fully original. I like a bit of both and I like a bit of originality, so you just have to work out one out when we get to it. So as you can see here, overall the wheels are actually in very good condition and look really nice. When the car's on the ramp and the wheels are off, I will actually do the inside of the wheels as well, so we get a nice pristine, or as clean as we can, wheel inside and out. So now I'm going to move on to the inner arches on this side. So I'll get the old detergent all over them, give them a good old scrub, blast them down with the jet wash like I did on the other side, and then I'll probably do them again off camera, and that should be them sorted out. So I'll speed this up because you saw me do the other side and I think you get the idea. And then we'll move on to doing the inside of the doors and inside of the shuts and stuff, and I'll speed that up as well because you see me do the other side, and we'll move on. So they're all looking nice and clean. So we move on to the door shuts now, and do the same as I've done the other side. Basically do all the shuts, do all the rubbers, give them a good old scrub with the brush, bottom of the doors, inside of the wheel arches, blast it all down with the jet wash, and should be all nice and clean and degreased. All the water drain holes should be clear, and that's sort of the main target, so nothing rusts, because we have no rust on this car at the moment, so we want to keep it like that. So as I said, I'll speed this up because you've seen it before on the other side, and we'll move back round to the front and decide what we're doing next. think it's about my 5th time doing under the engine bay now. Obviously I ain't showing it all on camera, I've just been showing you as I go around the car. But to do these right, you just got to keep going around and just keep doing the same bits again and again until you get the condition that you want. It's a real shame that Pride of Longbridge is not on this year, because really I could have got this absolutely mint and took it to the show like I normally go. I normally take something with me when I go, and I love walking around the show and looking at all the cars. And to see one in this colour or any of the Monogram colours is quite a spectacular thing to see. If you've never been to a Pride of Longbridge, I would say definitely go. It's a really good day out. The people there are nice. The people that own the cars are nice. Just a really good day out. And it's nice to see the cars and the work that's been done on some of the cars. Lots have been restored with countless amounts of money thrown at them to get them back to their former glory, or even better than how they left the factory, to be honest. So yeah, it's a very worthwhile day out. And I hope to see some of you there at some point very soon. So as you can see, we're looking at way better than where we started at the beginning of the video. The grime, the dirt, the green, the cobwebs, and everything else is pretty much gone now. And once it's had its final detail, after all the other jobs have been done, I'm sure it's going to look absolutely stunning under there, and the new owner will be very happy. So now all the nasty dirt and grime and grit and nasty bits are all gone now. You can actually give it as just normal proper wash on the outside and get the marks and dirt and bits and pieces just off these panels now. You know, just the normal stuff from driving the car. But I wanted to get all the other stuff off first, which you obviously should do before you wash your car, otherwise you're just going to scratch it by rubbing in all the other stuff. So I'll put this on fast forward, whip around the car, we'll jet wash it down, and we'll probably have to call it the end of the video as it's getting a little bit long now. make sure you always use a very soft microfiber cloth when you're washing your car, and when you dip the cloth into the bucket, don't go anywhere near the bottom to pick up any of the grit or anything like that. You can get a grid that you can put in the bucket to stop this, but I never do that. I just dip it in the top and never pick up anything from the bottom. Sorry, I've gone out of shot here a little bit, but as you obviously know, I'm just washing down the back end, the boot, the bumper, the spoiler, and coming around to this. So I'm just giving it a quick wipe down on the inside of the windows, inside of the doors and door shuts and that sort of stuff, ready to come indoors. Once it's indoors, I can put the big heaters on and dry it all out nicely. But the plan is to take the seats and stuff out anyway, and that'll all be hoovered and vacuumed and wet backed and scrubbed and you name it until it's really good. So it's not really going to cause much of a problem, but I just don't want anything to get too damp. yes, as you can see, we've still got the 64 plate MG Rover. Had a bit of trouble with it. Had to, the chassis legs on the front were about ½ inch out, so having to get them lined up before we can put the front on properly and make the bonnet on lines all line up how we want them to. Also got to get 2 new wings and a passenger headlight. So hopefully we'll be able to complete that car soon and bring a new video to the end of that one. So I think this video is getting a bit long now, so what I'm going to do is, obviously it's all indoors now, ready to go on the ramp to have the brakes and stuff done. As you can see, it's looking pretty clean even without doing the compounding and polishing and waxing and all the other stuff that I do. So I can't wait to see what it's going to look like once I've finished it and that's ready to go out. But this is the stage we're at the moment, and I'm going to end the video here. And as I just said, the next video we'll get up in the air, we'll have a look underneath, we'll have a look around the brakes, get that nasty paint off the brakes, and we'll see what we've got to do for an MOT. So thanks for watching, please like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you very soon in the next video.